Morning. Absolute pleasure to see you all. For those that don't have a seat, please, there's plenty of seats right here. Please kindly take a seat. How's everybody feeling? Yeah, 100% it is. It's a beautiful day. It's so great to see you all here today. For those folks that don't know me, my name is José Massó. I am the Chief of Human Services for the City of Boston. And again, it is an absolute pleasure to have you all here joining us today to celebrate such a special day, such a special partnership as well. Now, on behalf of Mayor Wu, who's unable to join us here today, and for the folks that don't know, she's joining the Vatican, doing some really important work out there. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the BCYF Curley Community Center, which is a gem of the city. As I like to say, this is more of a resort than it is a community center. As you can see by the views, everything else, the facility is such a beautiful space. I want to thank you all for joining us here today. We chose this site for 2 reasons. So first, the site happens to be one of the 4 BCYF community centers that we reopened in the last year. With every site open, we are expanding opportunities for children and families to access the water and get experience as swimmers. Second, as many of you probably remember, a 40-year-old boy lost his life out in Castle Island, just down the road from the Stretcher Beach, exactly 1 year ago today. Muhammad Fofana was autistic and wandered away from his grandfather who was watching him at the playgrounds. Muhammad's story is a painful reminder of how dangerous water can be for children, and it keeps us focused on the reason we are doing the work we're doing today. I'll ask everyone to pause for a minute of reflection from Muhammad's family. Thank you. It's great to look out to the room today and see so many partners who have been with us since we started this work. And also great to see so many new partners who recently joined us. My goal for this morning is 2 things. First, I want all of you who are already on board as Swim Safe partners to stay with us and to think about new ways we can partner together to get more families in the water. Second, I want those of you who are new to our Swim Safe family to leave wanting to be a bigger part of this. Our coalition is vast. We have all of the big and small aquatics partners that you'd expect. The YMCA of Greater Boston, Boys and Girls Clubs, along with other aquatics others in the aquatic space, Dot House Health and Croc Center, West End House, and others. We have USA Swimming and 2 Olympic swimmers with us today, Cullen Jones and Janelle Atkinson. Big round of applause for my friends. You will hear more about them shortly, so I won't dive into their bios just yet. Thanks so much to Dr. Sean Anderson for helping to make our partnership between the City of Boston and USA Swimming so rewarding, and also special thanks to USA Foundation as well. I also want to recognize 2 Paralympic swimmers who are here today in the audience. Michael Prout Jr. is a gold medalist. Yep, big round of applause. Is a gold medalist and competed at the Athens, Beijing, and London Games, and has also coached the USA team. Anna Johannes competed in the London Games and is a bronze medal winner. We are incredibly lucky to have so much talent together in the room today. And we have so many other partners that are here today who are passionate about swimming and keeping children safe around the water. Too many to name, so I won't try to name you all, but thank you all for being here with us. Now, before we transition to the panel, I'd like to welcome one of those partners to the mic to say a few words. Jeff Bellows, who is an awesome partner from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts, has been incredibly helpful in being able to bring this vision to reality. I won't say too much, I'll let him say the rest, but just wanted to invite him to the mic to be able to share a few words about the work that they're doing. Thank you so much to Jeff Bellows.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And as Chief Massó said, I felt like when I walked in that front door that I was walking into a resort overlooking this gorgeous water. I was like, where am I? I can't believe this. This is amazing. And the weather didn't suck out of it, so that was pretty good. But it has been so fun to be part of this, developing this wonderful program in the city over the past several years, and so important for what we're doing today too. So it's just great to look out to this full house, and thank you all for making time today to be here with all of us. It's so exciting to see everyone together to celebrate the importance of swim safety across all the vibrant communities and neighborhoods of Boston. At Blue Cross, we are deeply committed to helping all Massachusetts community members lead healthy lives and to create a more equitable and just Commonwealth for everyone. We do so in partnership with Mayor Wu and Chief Massó and his entire team, so that collectively we are working to address the social drivers of health and to eliminate the physical and social barriers that lead to health inequities. As such, we're thrilled to collaborate with the City of Boston to bring the joy of swimming to every young person. By investing in water safety education, we're promoting fun and healthy activities addressing systemic inequities and ensuring that all community members have the opportunity to safely enjoy water activities throughout their entire lives. We're excited and proud to be here today at the Curley Community Center to kick off this important program to ensure that all Boston kids learn to swim and can safely enjoy the city's pools and beautiful beaches throughout the summer and beyond. So I want to thank you all. Really excited to hear from our special guests, our Olympic swimmers here. What an honor to be in your presence as well. So thank you very much, Chief Massó. Blue Cross Blue Shield is honored to be part of this very amazing program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you. Again, Jeff and Blue Cross Blue Shield have been strong supporters of the Mayor's Connect, Learn, and Explore initiative, and it's such a pleasure to work closely with them in their partnership to make these dreams come to reality. This box right here, which is a swimmer's toolkit, which we were able to distribute last week to many of our partners in the room, the YMCA Greater Boston, Boys and Girls Club, and Dorchester House, contains towels, bags, goggles, the things that swimmers need to be active in the water. And so these are keepsakes for the swimmers. And again, this would not have happened if it wasn't for the partnership with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So before I continue, I just will be remiss if I did not acknowledge my team members from the Office of Human Services for all the incredible work that they do to make today possible. And so my Human Services team, OYED team, PCYF team, if you could just please raise your hand, please, just so folks can acknowledge all the great work. I always say you're only as strong as your team, and I'm so blessed and fortunate to have such a strong team and just to make everything possible, so thank you all. So as I said to start the program, today is a time for both reflection and celebration, as well as a time to look forward and make a commitment to doing more. Last year, when we relaunched Swim Safe Boston, we made a commitment to provide funding for swim lessons, open more of Boston's pools, and ensure that we had enough lifeguards to safely operate all of our aquatic spaces. For the folks that joined us last summer, what you may remember is we had 2 phases. We had the summer phase and we had the school year phase. What I'm excited to share is just an update to where we are since then. This year, next slide, I'm happy to share that we provided more than 1,500 swim lessons, and we're on track to meet our goal of 2,000 lessons by the end of this fiscal year, which is no small feat, by the way. This is due in partnership to all of the great partners around the room. Once again, YMCA Greater Boston, Boys and Girls Club, Dot House, all the amazing partners for the work that they do. So I just want to thank you all once again. Next slide, Justin. We've opened 3 pools and 1 beach this past year, as I mentioned, the Curley where you are, where we are today in June, Parish Street in July, the Marshall Pool in October, in the Madam Hunt. Big shout out to Randy Heath, who's the center director who's here today. Just this past month, you'll see the beautiful pool on the next slide, and they're already having fully programmed swim lessons, robust swim lessons taking place, and it's just such a beautiful location. We'll be actually having a celebration tomorrow evening as well, so just a quick note on that. And we'll be even opening more pools this upcoming months. With each pool open, again, we increase our capacity to offer free swim lessons in every neighborhood of Boston. Now, on the lifeguard front, thanks to Nadine, Justin, Nadine, where are you? Nadine, we are on track to recruit a record number of lifeguards for our pools. We are grateful to the mayor for her commitment to raise starting wages for lifeguards and offer generous sign-on bonuses that keep lifeguards engaged, recruit lifeguards, and retain lifeguards as well. So this is an amazing feat. I'm so much looking forward to this upcoming summer where we'll have a robust program due to our lifeguards capacity. In addition to that, we also have robust swim leagues, and so this is the BCYF. This is one of our swim championships that took place in Charlestown with six swim teams, and we're looking to have that grow. The more pools we have open, the more opportunities that we have for more swim teams, and so just noting that as well. Now, before we pivot to the panel, I think you go to the next slide. We're just going to make that happen soon, and so I'm just going to actually introduce you all, introduce the panelists. And as I say your name, you just kind of take a seat, that'd be great. Patrina Martin is the Vice President of Community Engagement and External Affairs at Boston Medical Center. Trina is responsible for leading all external affairs and community engagement for BMC with an eye to healthcare equity, social determinants of health, diversity and inclusion. BMC is a big supporter of our programming for adult swimmers and many more. Thank you, Trina, for being here. Barbara DiGirolamo is the injury prevention specialist at Boston Children's Hospital. She holds a master's degree in education and is responsible for community education on a range of injury prevention issues. Children's Hospital is supporting swim lessons in our life jacket getaway program. Big round of applause for Barbara, please. Janelle Atkinson is a two-time Jamaican Olympian. Competing in the 2004 games, placing as high as 4th in the 400 freestyle and 9th in the 800 freestyle. She became the first female Jamaican swimmer in history to reach an Olympic final, and her 4th place finish is still the best placing of any Caribbean female swimmer in the history of the Olympic Games. And last but not least, Cullen Jones is a 4-time Olympic medalist, the first African-American swimmer to hold a world record. He is a childhood drowning survivor, USA Swimming Foundation Board of Directors member, and Diversity in Aquatics Board of Directors member as well. Cullen Jones, ladies and gentlemen. I will be here, passing the microphones to Aaron. So before we get started, for the folks that actually joined us last year, you may remember that we started off with an introduction by sharing our swimsuit. And for those folks that don't know what that is, it's basically, we got you into swimming, the introduction to swimming, and so I actually will be sharing my swim story as a model, if that's okay. That's on. So please don't take any pictures of this. That is probably a 7-year-old Jose. Was much thinner back then. And that was actually at the Huntington YMCA here in Boston. And I was on the swim team. I swam competitively as a child. My older brother was a lifeguard, and that would actually got me into the love of swimming. I would spend my summers down in Puerto Rico, and so swimming in ocean water is something that I love to this day, and something that really brought me into my love for swimming. I also became a lifeguard. My first job actually was at the YWCA, then the YMCA in Roxbury. Big shout out to Catherine, who's here as well. And my first city job, and I shared this fondly as well, was 27 years ago as a lifeguard at the Flaherty Pool in Roslindale. And so, again, full circle to be the Chief of Human Services, overseeing the same department that I first worked in for the city is just amazing and phenomenal. And it just shows you the journey of being this child here and swimming. I didn't think swimming could bring you here, but here I am today and just sharing the story with you. So I thank you all for entertaining my story, and I'd like to pass it off to Trina, if you wouldn't mind sharing your story.
Thank you, Chief Massó. I feel like my swimming skills just really increased by proximity of these I'm Trina Martin Cherry. I grew up in Greenwood, South Carolina, which is a very rural town, with no access to a pool, with parents who were quite literally afraid of water with their kids. And so I remember going on vacations to the beach with my family, and we didn't get in. We put our toes in, and that was about it. And so I'm a Pisces, so I'm naturally drawn to water, and I'll be in the water. I was in the water, but just did not know how to swim. And so when Chief Massó and the mayor's office approached us at BMC to talk about this program, I was really excited because we wanted to provide access to kids in all communities to know how to swim. And so I was, talking to Dr. Jean, who is 90 years old and swims every day. And I was like, I'm so excited, we're gonna teach these kids how to swim. And she was like, you should jump in and swim. And I was like, well, I can't swim. She was like, well, how are you gonna teach kids So I learned how to swim at the Roxbury YMCA. I'm loving being able to swim now. Vacations are very different to me.
Nice.
For me now, I jump in and like swim from one end to the next. And Jose and I had fun swimming together. So I think I am proof that at 53 years of age, it's never too late to learn how to swim. And so hopefully I can be a model, not just for young kids, but for their moms and their grandmoms and family members to know that it is never too late to learn how to swim.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you so much. Yeah, I also coached and taught swim lessons as well, so it was such a pleasure to be in that capacity with you and just, bringing back my skills in that area as well. It was so much fun, so thank you so much for sharing your story, Trina. Appreciate it. Barbara?
Sure. So I was born and raised in East Boston, and Constitution Beach was literally in my backyard. But I was never a formal swimmer. I grew up, at the beach and at the lake in the summers, and was a self-taught swimmer. My family always used to say, I was the fish in the family, also a Pisces. But yeah, so now I have 3 kids at home, and so professional swim lessons are something that I only, not only, want for my home family, but I'm the injury prevention coordinator at Boston Children's and see the unfortunate events of the patients that have to come and visit us because they didn't know how to swim. And so this is something that I'm very passionate about and happy to be able to contribute to today.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
So I'm a Libra. Very close. So, the way that I got involved in swimming, my parents, grew up and they wanted a pool in their backyard. And they knew how to swim, but they didn't really know enough to actually swim, just kind of stay safe. So they went to a local YMCA, found a coach to come to the house on Sundays to give us lessons. Now, these are not the lessons that these kids have nowadays, at all. That was brutal. I literally remember every Sunday, we went to church, then we had Sunday school, and then the instructor would be at the house waiting for us. I remember just being in tears, being like, oh my God, this is the worst day ever. He would literally throw us in. I had an older sister and a younger brother. Throw us in the water and just be like, now come back. So that is pretty much kind of how I learned how to swim. Just kind of self-taught, but in a very weird way. Someone's watching, I think he was watching. He never got in to save us. It was kind of we figured out how to get to the other wall. But it's one of those where neither of my parents were athletes by any stretch, but with those swim lessons, the person who taught us how to swim, Neville, love him, now I do, not then. He convinced my parents to get us involved in the YMCA, join the swim team. My parents were like, for what? We don't need that. And he said, no, it's free babysitting. That was literally how we sold it. Just drop them off after school, they'll be in a safe place for a couple hours, pick them up after, and we're here all day. And it turns out, fast forward X amount of years later, my sister ended up being, the highest she went was the Pan American Games, competed for Jamaica there, and then both myself and my younger brother are both 2-time Olympians. So,
Thanksgiving must be very hard for Cullen. I just, to share my story, I have to say I'm sorry. I was born in New York. Don't hold it against me. It must be 1994 because Boston and the Knicks are doing all right. So it must be a different year. But growing up in New York as an only child, my parents were very, very important to my, just my development in general. I looked up to both of them. And my dad said he wanted to take me to a water park. And I was one of those kids that just loved playing in water. They put me in the tub with He-Man and Thundercats, and I would be in there until I was crooning and cry if they pulled me out. Also, I'm a Pisces. All the scales. So when I went there, my dad's like, I want to get on the biggest ride. Let's get on that ride. And I'm like, yeah. And I loved your picture. So that's what I looked like. We looked exactly the same. I was tall, but I was very, very skinny. And we went to the top of this ride. And I know there's some moms in the room, right? Moms? Yeah. My mom's like, this is a terrible idea. So we get to the top of the ride. My dad, who knew I was one of those kids that didn't pay attention, was like, Cullen, I'm gonna go first, you're gonna go second, your mom's gonna go last. Whatever you do, don't let go of the inner tube. Yeah, sure. So you sit in this inner tube and you go down this ride, go through the tunnel, and you hit this pool of water and gently coast to the shallow end where you hand the inner tube to the next person. Well, my dad came down the ride, and I usually tell this story to young audiences, adult audiences, but when the young audience, I'm like, hey, you guys know who Ariana Grande is? I'm like, yeah. But for this crowd, I'm gonna say, hey, you guys know who Mariah Carey is? Yeah. So you know that high-pitched note that they hit when they're singing? Yeah, my 6'4" dad is hitting these notes coming down the ride. So I'm a little nervous, but if he did it, I'm gonna do it next. And so I go down this ride, I'm coming down, I'm screaming. I hit the pool of water, and I flip upside down. And here I am, underwater. Holding on to an inner tube, because that's what my dad told me to do. Now, moms, again, yeah. Superhuman strength. The conductor said they'd never seen anyone come down the ride this fast. She's coming down. She hits the pool of water. It's important to tell you that she doesn't know how to swim. So, she flips upside down. I'm underwater. She's drowning on the right, I'm drowning on the left, to steal something from Kevin Hart. The family didn't look good as a unit. My dad came in, got my mom, lifeguard came and got me, had to be resuscitated. And yeah, they say that a child can have brain damage from being underwater for more than 30 seconds. And if you ask my wife, she would agree. So, the first thing out of my mouth was, Cullen, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. What's the next ride we getting on? And so I didn't want to leave. But I saw on there that you said that what you're trying to do is to get every child to learn to swim by the age of 8. This happened to me when I was 5 years old. And I went through 5 different teachers. But you always know that teacher that kind of sticks with you. It could be a Spanish teacher, a spelling teacher, Coach Brad. Coach Brad made water better for me, and I was so excited. And I started swimming competitively at the age of 8. So, you never know.
Such powerful stories, and just the significance around just the journey of swimming. And you've heard the range as well, from a young age to older age. It's never too late to learn how to swim. It's a life skill, something that I strongly believe that every human being should learn how to do. So thank you all for sharing such powerful stories. Barbara, if you wouldn't mind, I'll just start with you just to get a public health perspective on water safety. Now, when you talk to families about staying safe around water, what is the most important piece of advice you share with them?
It doesn't matter how deep the water is. People think, kids are gonna go out on the beach and drown, or, if you don't have a gate on your backyard pool that, maybe they might drown. But I often tell parents that they need to watch their kid or have, around water. The highest death rate in Massachusetts for children ages 1 to 4 is drowning. And all of that number is completely preventable. And so that's where I spend a lot of my job, teaching parents. It's not just, like I said, going on a trip to the beach. And if you do, making sure that they have that life jacket and not just, the dollar store blow-up swimmies, because those are not going to be, very helpful. And born and raised in East Boston, like I said, I am so proud to see what is happening in Boston right now. Growing up, I'm 40 years old now, so never had any of these opportunities and services that I truly wish that I can. So every child that comes through our doors with an anoxic injury or a drowning is one too many, and so that is why I do what I do to make it my passion to change that.
Thank you so much. Now, I am going to shift to Janelle and Cullen. Just curious, because you did bring up New York, and you brought up, what is it? No, it's fine. That's absolutely fine. And, we do face some Celtics in 5, by the way. But anyway.
Yeah, I knew it was.
Just thinking about the work that you do with USA Swimming, and just curious of what other cities are doing that you would consider best practices.
Wow, that's a really good question. Oh, yeah, okay. So as you read, I'm an ambassador for the USA Swimming Foundation, but I also sit on the board. And so there was an initiative after winning the gold medal in 2008, we started our Make a Splash initiative. And there's been the focus of just getting kids to learn to swim. And for me, it's about what swimming has done for me. I've been able to retire my mom, been able to travel the world. And this is something from a sport that wildly does not look like me. And so for me, it's been about being a role model. It's about pushing it forward and kind of handing that baton to the next person. But the thing that I think the best practices that I've seen, oddly enough, Greensboro, North Carolina, they are busing kids in at the 2nd grade level, right before testing happens in 3rd grade. And they're teaching them to learn to swim instead of gym class, which is wildly being taken away from a lot of school systems. But these kids are learning to swim at a young age. And so that's one of the things that every time that I get to travel and see different organizations that are helping in the community, I think that anyone that's paying attention to learn to swim is doing the right thing. And there's different versions of it, but I really like highlighting what they're doing in Greensboro just because I've not seen that. And then I started seeing it in Kansas City. I've seen it all over, but I think that I would love to lobby for that. I think that's something that I think is a true way to really help people learn to, especially young folks, learn to swim, make it part of their development. I swam for a Jewish community center. Yeah. And one of the things that I learned is that in the Jewish faith, you learn to walk, you learn to talk, and to be a good parent, you learn to swim. It's part of the evolution, and it's a life skill. And so I think that that's what we need to do as a culture. And when I say culture, I mean as Americans, because when it comes to drowning, we are drowning at an exponential level. And so different organizations like what we're doing here and the things that I've seen all over the US, anything that has to do with teaching kids to learn to swim, you are saving a life. So
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously I did not compete for the US, but one of my big things, especially being kind of like roped in with USA Swimming. US obviously is not just about, born and bred Americans. We have a lot of people from different diasporas who now live here, who, essentially kind of like embrace the culture. So with my part, being from the Caribbean, being from a small island, it's not a sport that is wildly celebrated, because we have track and field. So we come way down the line, but we have a little piece of heaven in there. But the culture in the Caribbean is really just kind of, my parents don't know how to swim, their parents don't know how to swim, so I don't see what the big deal is and why it's even necessary. Because I turned out fine, so why should my kids have to be able to swim? And, swimming is not a cheap sport by any means. Learning how to swim is not, it's a luxury essentially. because there is a limited amount of space to actually teach people how to swim. There are a minimal amount of instructors. Lifeguards aren't exactly something that's visible at pools in the Caribbean. So it's one of those where, for me, being able to continue to spread that message, because with sports, obviously track and field is king, and if I can get my kid involved in sport, it's gonna be track and field. A, it's cheaper, B, there's more notoriety, so why put myself in a position where I'm paying all this extra money, having all these extra, burdens essentially of having to teach my kid how to swim when, again, I don't even know how to swim.
Yeah.
So for me, being able to continue to spread that message and being like, yeah, you could be one of hundreds, or you could be one of one. Was mentioned in my, biography, like, I'm the first of many things for my sport, for my country, and I take pride in that. And it's one of those where, having parents and having the Caribbean diaspora look at that and being like, you know what, yeah, that is more impactful. That is something that, I can actually kind of be a life skill, because by no means, if you ask my parents, there's no way they expected that their kids were gonna accomplish as much as they did, or even half as much as they did in the sport. So to be able to look at that, not coming from a sport background, to be able to produce children that have done amazing things and really, in my case, put the country really on the map of swimming, is something that's gigantic that no one can ever take away from me.
Thank you. And thank you, and just to reflect, that's a great transition, Janelle, because I'm going to ask Trina a question related to that. Cullen, the good news is that we actually partnered with Boston Charter School, and their charter school located in walking distance of the Roxbury YMCA, which also has a pool location. So throughout the school day, they actually bring their children to the pool to be able to learn. And again, it reduces the barriers for parents, because they don't have to, spend time outside of school day to bring the children. It happens during the school day. And we have our partners in DPS, big shout out to Sam who's here, to be able to once again focus on how does we make this happen here in Boston as well through our public schools, because many of our pools are located in our schools as well. So thank you for uplifting that.
Absolutely.
Quick transition, speaking about adults, and Trina, thank you so much for sharing your story. Just curious to get your thoughts of other adults that are not swimmers. And we know the percentage is high that if a parent or caregiver does not know how to swim, then the likelihood of their children is not knowing how to swim is also high as well. What do you think would be the best approach to encourage adults, later in life to learn how to swim?
I really think it's about two things. It's about education and access, and it's also about changing the narrative. I think that the mayor's office has done an amazing job providing access around the city of Boston to make sure that no matter what neighborhood you're in, there is a beautiful place for you to learn how to swim. And then educating people about, not just about learning how to swim, but about water safety. Because, maybe, we won't get everybody in the pool, but if we can at least teach people about how to be safe around water, then I think that's a huge thing. I think for a long time, the narrative has been, Black people don't swim. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But I think with giving the entire community, no matter where you live, access to a pool and education around, here's a swimming lesson, here's a lesson on water safety, and then having them see people like Janelle and Cullen, like the Olympians, they can aspire to not just learn how to swim, not just be a lifeguard, but be a professional. So I think that's really important. And so I often think about my mom, who is now 92 and goes to the gym every day. She still doesn't swim. But I mean, to expose older people to water aerobics and water programs that would get them more comfortable in water. And I know that that's something that we're doing. I think all of these things are important. So just making sure that we're continuing to create access, education, and most importantly, really changing the narrative so people can see themselves in the water.
Thank you so much, Trina. Thank you. Great points. Again, to your point, and I know my personal experience, those lifeguards, they all reflected me and my community that I grew up in, right? And this is here in Boston. And so, again, it shows that there's a desire, it's not a stigma, it's not a stereotype within our communities. Folks that have access to it do want to learn how to swim, right? And do it really well. And so to your point, that can make a profession out of it. So With that, I think I'm gonna do a lightning rounds and then we'll close shortly. Okay, so I'll start with you, Trina, and then we'll work our way down. If you had $1 million to put towards swim safety, how would you spend it?
Oh, wow. I would start by finding all of the other Janelles and Cullens around the country and putting them in communities so that, you know, black and brown kids all over could see what it looks like to be a swimmer at every level. I think I do what you guys have done with these spaces and go into neighborhoods and, you know, there are a lot of pools, but I think in the city of Boston, but I think there are more pools that, you know, we can continue to revitalize and, you know, make nice for neighborhoods. But I would do everything I could do to make swimming welcoming. And so I think you guys are well on your way with that, developing partnerships with, you know, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Boston Medical Center, the YMCA's, the Boys and Girls Club. So I think we almost have our $1 million, so let's keep doing what we're doing.
Excellent. Thank you, Trina. Thank you.
He stole my answer, and we didn't even know. Getting swim lessons as part of a school curriculum, I think, is super, super important. Kids these days are pulled in 37 different directions just with life going on. And so to add something else onto that many times is kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back for families. And so to alleviate that, I think that personally from other parents that I've talked to, that is usually the hugest barrier aside for the money to pay for the lessons. So those would be the hugest things. And also life jackets. So many kids, you know, it's kind of like the bike helmet for kids, like the stigma, they wear them when they're little, but then, you know, you're too cool. You know, breaking that stigma of, you know, being too cool. And you could be, you know, 10, 12 years old and, you know, having fun with your friends if you don't know how to swim, but having that ability to, you know, have access to life jackets is something that is absolutely essential right now.
So, for me, I think I would actually invest it into some instructors and lifeguards because that's something that lacks immensely in the Caribbean. So for me, being able to essentially provide a means of like actually having a job. So there's an after I learned how to swim, one next. And basically to create something where it's funneling into not just, okay, I know how to swim, and that's all I know. Okay, now I have this potential job, now I have this, you know, career where I can also give back and essentially being able to almost kind of create a cycle of keeping that going.
Excellent. Thank you.
This is going to be a shameless plug. I'm very proud of what my NGB is doing, my national governing body, and USA Swimming Foundation. It's an exciting time. There's been a lot of investment in the DEI space. Of course, yes, I'm an ambassador. Yes, I sit on the board for USA Swimming Foundation, but with $1 million, what I would like to do is use part of that for research. Because I travel so much all across the US to see groups like Blue Cross Blue Shield, to see groups like obviously what USA Swimming is doing, but what Greensboro's doing, Kansas City. There's all of these different groups, Boys and Girls Club. They have different ways of how they're teaching in their communities, but we're not all at the same table. And so what I would love to see is learning all of these different ways that people are taking care of their communities, and then finding out the way that works the best, hopefully, and then fund that, and then replicate, because I feel like if everyone's at the table, then we can actually make some really big change. I love that everyone's doing pieces. I love it.
Yeah.
But let's do it together.
Excellent. So, on that note, Cullen, I mean, the beauty is that everyone's at the table here today.
Yeah.
Everyone's here, right? So all the names that you named, and even more, big shout out to USA Foundation again for allowing this space where Olympians could be able to join and travel city to city and be here in Boston as well. It's just a marvelous day, but again, I really want to make sure that we have those connections, probably cultivate a space during the reception time to actually have those talks and figure out like what is it that we do.
Yeah.
Before we close, this will be the last question. Just quickly, where is your favorite place to swim?
Boston. I'm kidding. Favorite place to swim? I swam at a pool in Rome, actually, and it was marble. It was also 110 degrees and our feet were burning, but it was marble. And I loved social studies, and I loved being able to see the Coliseum, but also race at the same time. So I think that was one of the coolest places I've ever swam, for sure.
I can imagine that beautiful. Yeah, Janelle?
Typically, I don't like open water swimming because I don't like things touching me. However, for my honeymoon a couple years ago, we went to the Maldives and had one of those over the water bungalows. Yeah, I'd be jealous. But it was one of those like, standing on, the deck, you're looking at like, oh, it's so crystal clear, it's so wonderful. And then we put the snorkeling gear on, and I look and there are like literally thousands of fish, sharks, like everything. You can't even see from the top. So then I threw out the snorkeling mask. I was like, I'll just wait here for a minute. But that I would say is probably the most like beautiful place I've ever actually like swum in. My husband's not a swimmer, so we went out like snorkeling off of the like at the edge at the cliff of the island. And he kept being like, no, just go ahead. I was like, I don't think that's smart. But he does complain after the fact. He's like, you left me. I was like, well, you told me to go. Like, you're slowing me down. There are fish everywhere. But that's definitely by far the most beautiful place I've ever swum.
So again, born and raised in Boston, so I always love to go back to Constitution Beach and see that. However, I did just run the Hawaii Marathon and spent time in Honolulu. And so expanded my horizons, and nothing has beaten the open water of the ocean in Hawaii. So that would be it.
Excellent.
So mind you, I'm just a year into my swimming journey. But I am going to Turks next week, so I'll wait But right now, I would say my favorite place is the Roxbury YMCA. That's where I community there, so my favorite place.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Big round of applause to our panelists, please. I'm sure being the other swim providers in the room, when you have Dirk Bobel from Dorchester House, would love to invite you to his pool as well. And speaking of the open water, we have Michael O'Neill from Boston Triathlon. The triathlon taking place in Boston this year, August 17th. Did I get that right?
For the kids,
Yep.
your race, Jose, is August 18th. Jose's racing.
So you see how you put me on blast, right? So the open water swimming does take place right out here, so that it will be taking place, and running and biking along here as well. And so, anyway, just sharing that. Again, there are many great partners in the room here today. And so after this, we'll have a reception area. We have food. We have a photo booth. I do encourage you all to please take pictures. I will try to take as many pictures with you all as possible. I really want to make sure I remember this day. I remember each of you guys in this room today with us as well. Please remember, for those that are already swim safe partners, let's continue to build. We're just getting started. We're less than a year into this. We are just getting the momentum going. We want to make sure that we continue to make sure that this happens and we can be able to reach the goals that everybody, on the panel was able to share. Additionally, for the folks that are joining us for the first time, let's continue to build. Let's continue to make this happen. Let's continue to work. Let's continue to figure out how we conduct more research, how we get more lifeguards, how we build up the pipeline of future swimmers to make sure that as we talk about this in 10 years, we're celebrating future Olympians. We're not talking about any rounds that are taking place here in Boston. Can you all agree to that?
Yes.
Okay. So again, just a quick reminder as well that tomorrow is International Water Safety Day, and I encourage you to use that day as the Olympians are, to raise awareness about the risk of drowning and all we can do to stay safe around water. We'll have some social media kits, hashtag SwimSafeBoston, so you can use that in your social media as well. Again, hashtag SwimSafeBoston. As you look to elevate it tomorrow, thankfully the Olympians will be visiting 2 of our Boston public schools, so we'll be at the Mason and at the Murphy as well, and so in Dorchester and in Roxbury, and so definitely looking forward to that, and then we'll be closing out tomorrow to celebrate at the Mountain Island, just to be able to close its National Water Safety Day. And so thank you all again for being here. It is not over. The reception is taking place outside. Meet new people. If you don't know each other, please introduce yourselves. There are plenty of great people who are dedicated to this work in this room, so I want to make sure that you are able to exchange cards, put faces and names, etc. Okay? Thank you all once again for being here. I appreciate every single one of you. And a big round of applause for our panelists once again. Oh man! Oh!
There you go. That looks good on you.
Perfect. Thank you.
So that